Hello, everybody. How's everyone doing today? I hope all is well. Today with Craig, we had a awesome chat. We did actually beforehand talk about a lot of air quote controversial things like global warming to him is not real and and the EV revolution is actually not going to save the world. That was really fun, but we were both kind of like, ooh, who might piss off a lot of people. But other than that, quick house cleaning event. Josh, recently got a nice new career opportunity, a better situation for income. Working as a railroad. For those who know the railroad industry, I will be a flagger. I'll be heading out to Texas for about 3 months, getting trained up and everything, and then I'll be hitting the field. So interviews will be quite hard for me to schedule. So I'm going to be switching the show slowly over to more of a solo podcast. I'll be taking my webcam with me and my nice microphone. I won't be able to take my Boon's arm with me, so hopefully I don't tap my feet too many times while recording. But so I will just be talking about business, different events. I'll go into my childhood, the trials and tribulations I went through. It's going to be a good shift for the show. So maybe it'll get to the point where you guys actually send me messages on like voicemail messages. I'm hoping for that. But other than that, let's get right in the show. It was fun. Craig had an awesome energy. It was just one of those I really could have kept talking to him for like 3 hours. All right, let's go.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Oh no, we started.
No, I'll cut all that out whenever you're ready.
It's all good. It's all good. We can't talk about that within Harmony. I mean, I guess we could, but it's just a different conversation. I don't know why my camera's not in focus.
I think it's just Zoom. Mine does that a lot too.
Call.
Dude, I just liked how we started that, but yeah.
Just dropped into a rabbit hole real quick.
We really did. Give everyone a quick introduction of yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. My name is Craig Goldberg. I'm one of the co-founders here at In Harmony Interactive, and I'm a relaxation expert. I teach people how to relax using sound and vibration. And we have a technology company that manufactures that technology, as well as a record label, which creates the content that we play through that technology as well.
It's cool. So how long have you been in the tech building industry? Like
6 years. Yeah, so we've been doing this for 6 years. In Harmony Interactive's been around since September of 2020. And prior to that, our company was called Holistic Health Science, and we took a little bit more of a clinical approach to it. But that company, we started manufacturing our sound table technology in November of 2016.
Nice. So how much have you been growing, especially with now your record label and that? Like, is it just consistent year over year stuff?
So here's the cool part. Just being on this podcast and starting to talk to your listeners and your audience, I wasn't able to do this a year ago. And the reason I wasn't able to do it is because of manufacturing and supply chain limitations, and all of my growth potential is predicated on having inventory and having stock. And If there's anything the last 3 years did, it taught us that the supply chain is not as stable as we thought it would be. And hiccups are super possible along the way in all sorts of different ways and places along that supply chain. So for us, it's been a gradual increase in understanding our partners and our supply chain and where things are coming from. And then for us to plan far enough ahead, I'm making investments today on my supply chain that aren't going to be in my warehouse as a sellable product for at least 6 months. So I'm laying out cash today for parts in my supply chain, transducers, foam, materials, that sort of thing, that aren't going to be to my factory, assembled, and then delivered to me as a finished product that I can sell to my consumer for at least 6 months. So that used to be 2 weeks. Like, I used to be making an investment today and I would have that product in my warehouse in 2 weeks. And now it's pushed out to 6 months. So the supply chain has just become a lot more for us to manage. And we've had a lot more cash invested into managing that supply chain, which gives me the ability to then go out and grow. And that's what we've been doing over the last 6 months to a year and a half have been unbelievable for us. And I think that's part and parcel to our community, our technology being loved, what we're doing, the impact that our technology has in every one of our owners' residences or business. And then obviously being able to capture that through the supply chain and everything else that we're doing. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to say, I still hear, I do some trading. So I get news feeds and they're still saying like China's doing lockdowns. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Like, are you just intentionally trying to collapse your economy?
It's happening. I mean, yeah, look, there's people making decisions that are affecting entire countries, and who knows why those decisions are being made.
And yeah, it's one of them. I tell people, I'm like, and when we do figure it out, it's gonna be 10 years from now and it's too late.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's hindsight's 2020, right?
Right. That was it. That's
picked up on the play on words there, but hindsight's 2020. The year 2020, we'll have a lot of hindsight on how the world changed in lots of good ways and lots of bad ways, and yeah, you can always look backwards and figure it all out.
right. So what are some of your methods for relaxing? Is it more like meditation, music? What's your blend that you do?
Yeah, so this is the hard part about relaxation, mindfulness, and meditation. And there's a delineation between mindfulness and meditation, and then even mindful meditation, the combination of the two, which we can talk about. But
Okay.
for most Americans are walking around in a sympathetic nervous system response. I'll answer your question. I just want to touch on a few things of why it was so important for me. Most Americans, and it's a very selfish business for me, and it's one that I'm exceptionally passionate about because I use my technology each and every day. And let me show you, if we can, just by using a couple virtual backgrounds. I'll show you a few of our products and kind of what we're talking about here. So this is the InHarmony meditation cushion, which might be over here. It might be over here. I've got it. Let me unmirror my background. There it is. And it's over there. So the InHarmony meditation cushion, this is designed for individuals to have in their home or to put into a meditation facility. But inside this piece of hardware, which is also sitting right behind me, is something called a tactile transducer. It's a fancy word for half a speaker. My business partner does not like it when I say that, but it's the easiest way to explain it. Inside here is a magnet which oscillates. It translates sound into vibration. And as he sits on that meditation cushion, there is one of these tactile transducers right underneath him, and then built-in stereo speakers around it. So you are feeling and listening to the music. You can obviously plug in headphones as he is, and you are listening to the music that you are feeling. And this creates a three-dimensional, fully immersive sound experience that makes your brain perceive it as you are inside the music. And it creates a number of benefits through the body, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So for me, how do I relax? I get on my technology as often as I can. My daughter gets on our technology as often as we can. This is the InHarmony Sound Lounge, which is a bigger unit. There's 4 of these tactile transducers inside there. Again, listening to headphones, feeling the same frequencies. It's a full body restorative experience. And then we also have our practitioner, which is designed to go on top of a massage table so that you can get body work while you're experiencing our technology. And I do this regularly to relax.
Okay.
If you just wanted me to sit down on a meditation table, sit down on the couch and meditate. Like, you want me to sit there and do nothing for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Like, at the entrepreneurial mind that's always going says that's not happening. No, not right now, Craig. I immediately start thinking of all of the other things I could be doing. Dare I say, all of the other things I should be doing, and what else I can be doing during this 30-minute period instead of sitting here, doing nothing. And that to me is a really big challenge. So for me, it's really important to have access to something like what we're doing, because sound and vibration distracts the human mind. It calms and relaxes the human mind. It allows you to drop into that deeper meditative state, and it literally walks your mind, body, and spirit right into that place. So the only directive when you're listening to and sitting on our technology is to lose yourself in the music. And you're listening to
Mhm.
these beautiful soundscapes, these beautiful music meditations, as we call them, which are made with specific frequencies and specific sequences designed to drift your body into an alpha, theta, or delta brainwave state.
That's awesome.
Can I
Yeah.
pause? Can I pause for
Yes,
1 second?
of
I
course.
got to let somebody in my front door. It's just terrible timing, but I'm the only one home. Can we edit this? I
Yeah.
hope.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Give me 1 second. And we're back.
We're back. Magic of editing.
The magic of editing, indeed. So how do I relax? Uh, for me, it's about getting access to my technology and utilizing it as often as possible. When I'm traveling and I don't have access to my technology, I'm just using my app and a set of headphones or a Bluetooth speaker that I'm traveling with. And for me, it's about the muscle memory and using these music meditations to guide my mind, body, and spirit into those deeper meditative states so that I can rejuvenate, recuperate, and re-energize my body, because downtime is as important as our uptime. And taking that time to relax is something that, again, helps to reset the nervous system, to calm and relax the mind, body, and spirit, to tell the muscles to relax. And just, again, it's not about being lazy. So many of us are go, 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 that we don't take the time to rest and relax. And it's as important as our periods of go are our periods of downtime.
Yeah, that's a big one. Some of my coworkers, I currently work night shift, and they're just constantly going during the day. And I'm like, you do realize you need to sleep, kind of thing. This is going to bite you in the ass in like five,
Yeah,
10 years.
absolutely. Yeah, it's look, especially if you're working the night shift. I'm here in Las Vegas. This is a 24-hour town. I grew up in New York. I lived in Manhattan for 10 years. It's a 24-hour town. I actually worked the other 9 to 5, just like you do, for a long time, 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. It wreaks havoc on your nervous system. It wreaks havoc on your sleep schedule. But there are ways that you can mitigate that by understanding and appreciating the light and how you're being and how you're reacting to the light, which I see those brilliant glasses that you've got on right now, which helps to mitigate that and to keep you in a downtime. And then obviously what you can do with external sunlight and blackout shades. And these are all things that really help your body to acclimate to that. And you can, obviously, and you can thrive. You
Oh
just
yeah.
need to be cautious of it, and you just need to be aware of it, and giving your body the ability, especially if you're coming home when it's light out. Like, I was very fortunate. Most of the time I can get home and I can get into a dark room before the sun rose. And that
Hmm.
changes everything, right? If you're leaving when it's dark and coming home when it's light, and now you're trying to get into a dark room and go to bed, right? Like, you just need to do a couple extra things to get the nervous system to settle and relax. And our tech can actually help with that too.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm like, that would definitely help. It's funny how you said it because, yeah, I have the fortunate timing. I'm not too far from work. So by the time I'm like getting home, the sun is just barely rising and I'm getting in.
Yeah, perfect. And you're like, I made it.
It's like, cool. Now go away because I need to go in my room.
That's right. I need 6 hours. I'll be right back.
Right. Yeah, it
Cool.
was this one blogger on like was saying, oh, how to survive night shift. Like every day when you first wake up, go get sunlight. I'm like, how at midnight? I'm like, do you actually work night shifts?
Right. Well, what hours are you working?
Midnight to 6.
Yeah. So you're just making it, right? And obviously that gets a little easier, but really with daylight savings and everything else, you're pretty much always right around that sunrise time that you're getting home.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, a sound lounge session or a meditation cushion session after your shift will help you to acclimate, to kind of calm and reset the nervous system and prepare yourself, especially if you were to induce a theta or a delta, which are the deepest of our brainwave states. To induce that will train your brain to go from beta, eyes open, beginning of the circadian rhythm, morning of the day, and drift into a theta or a delta, which the theta brainwave state is where we are during rapid eye movement. It's where we are during REM sleep. It's the very deepest part of our sleep. And then, of course, a delta is even deeper than that, where cellular rejuvenation happens. That can be very powerful. The flip side, where our tech can be very powerful, is before you go to work, if you have had a day where you weren't necessarily able to get the sleep you need, you weren't able to get the rejuvenation that you need, and you now need to go in and work a night shift, caffeine probably helps. I'm sure there are other things that can help you stay stimulated, but dropping into a mindful a music meditation prior to that shift and giving yourself that rest period before you go into that night shift could help a lot as well. And by the way, all of this is applicable for during the day. All of this is applicable for any other shift or any other preparation that you have for the day as well. A 22-minute sound lounge session can be exceptionally restorative for you in periods of needing that rest and relaxation, no doubt.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those like we were chatting about earlier. I've learned to like make it work, but yet like lately, I gave up caffeine because I knew I wasn't sleeping. I'm like, I get home and I'm just sitting there shaking, like, well, might as well do something.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
call
but
that
something
playing sheet karate and staring at the back of your eyelids. It's
right.
just like, oh man, no, I've been there. So I worked in New York City hospitality for 10 years.
Mhm.
And my club would close at 4. The bartenders would leave at 5, and then I'd have to do the bank drop. I'd have to, straighten up a little bit and hang out with the crew while they're finishing the most of the cleaning so that I can get in there and see what needs to be repaired the next day, and blah blah blah. And it's 6:30 before I'm leaving the club to head home, and I'm drinking Red Bull to stay awake, and right, like everybody else is drinking alcohol, partying, and having a good time, and I'm, drinking Monster and Red Bull. And there were plenty of times where I'd get home and I'd be like, I am just not tired right now. What do I do? I've been there.
Yeah,
Wish I had my tech then. I'll tell you that much.
right. That's what I'm thinking. It's just, it would be very nice for in general to get some people on it. Um, so for the music, is there a certain did you design the music or did someone else design it for you?
Yes, is the answer. So
Okay,
we've
both.
got a very talented director of content creation. His name is Anthony Weiss. He's a 23-year musician, self-taught. He is also a sound healer for the last 5 years, performing regularly using kind of those organic instruments that you're familiar with, the flute, the drums, didgeridoo, right? These types of
Mhm.
instruments. He's phenomenal on the guitar. And also a very talented digital music producer. He can also master music. So, along with Anthony and a series of other artists that have contributed to our app, we have over 225 tracks that are available in our music meditation, in Harmony Music Meditations app right now. We're in the process of releasing our next series. We just finished our chakra balancing series. We have a solfeggio frequency series. Tracks in our app range from 2 minutes to 2 hours. We're in the process of extending that. We're also in the process of our next. We're not exactly sure what this series is going to be called, but it's built around these emotional experiences that we have on our life's journey, and things like grief and looking for abundance and inspiring luck and weight loss. These types of things that we're all emotionally attached to, and creating tracks with the specific intention to support that. So looking into the science and the research of these different frequencies, looking into the science and the research of whether it's, we don't use NLP, we don't use hypnosis, but those same type of facets of trying to understand what exactly is a supporting mechanism in getting us towards our goals, and how could we include that in our music so that we can have this shared intention on this track is going to be made with this intention for this purpose. And here's when we want you to listen to this particular track. And here's how we want you to use it with a specific protocol as well. So we're starting to expand on what we're doing and really roll out these pretty incredible categories and series of tracks. A lot of thought goes into it, and also a lot of intention. And more importantly, I think a lot of intuition in really appreciating and understanding this is the intention on this track, and here's what that could look like. And I'm part of that process. I'm working with Anthony, helping him with different melodies, helping him set the tone for, all right, this track's going to be focused on abundance. It needs to be uplifting. We want it to be, maybe it has a little bit of a beat behind it. We want this to be something where, hey, I get off this track and I'm feeling like I could take on the world, like nothing could slow me down. I want that feeling of abundance that I might not have at the beginning, but I want to make sure that it's writhing through every cell in my body by the last beat of that track. So it's taking that type of approach to understanding intention, the capabilities of sound and frequency. I don't believe there are any bad frequencies. I believe there are disharmonic frequencies to your vibe and where you're at that particular time. But generally speaking, I don't believe there's a bad frequency. But so we can have a conversation around that, I guess. But
I was say I'm
but yeah, as
curious
far as
about that.
yeah, so as far as making the music, it's a collaboration among a variety of different artists, predominantly Anthony, and all of his magnificence. Yeah, as for frequency, we're familiar with the frequency spectrum, and obviously colors and visual and audio and electromagnetic. Right? There's a bunch of different subsets of this same spectrum of frequency. Generally speaking, I don't believe there's any bad frequency. Now, you might think of something like the brown note. Brown note, if you're not familiar, apparently this is the frequency that you can blast a crowd of people and it'll make them all go to the bathroom at the same time.
I've heard of that. It doesn't work on me though.
In general, it's not going to work. And this just proves my point further, right? That each one of us are vibratory beings. Each one of us oscillate, which is another way of saying we all vibrate to a slightly different frequency. There's some generalities, absolutely. And as we start to think about brainwave states, alpha, theta, delta, gamma, right? We've got different agreed upon facets and categories, labels, if you will, of certain things that help us to correlate where you are versus where I am. And we've got some pretty amazing technology like EEG, echoencephalograph, ECG, echocardiograph, right? Different ways that we can look and see at what frequency things are happening, right? An echoencephalograph looks like a swim cap. You put it on your head. It tells you how fast the synapses in your brain are firing. An ECG, very much like the Apple Watch that's on my wrist or the Aura Ring, heart rate variability, starts to look at what's happening with your circulatory system, how fast your heart is beating, how often, how strong, how powerful, right? So we're getting really good at understanding frequency and what's happening in the human body, but we're just scratching the surface and understanding how this body really operates. And what we'll find is that there are averages and generalities for these different frequencies. So every object on planet Earth, all the matter that we see before us, everything that you're looking at in your studio right now, from the camera, the screen, the computer, your desk, the chair, the headphones you're wearing, the microphone that's sitting in front of you on that beautiful stabilizer, it's all vibrating. All of it.
Yes.
Every single thing in front of you is vibrating. Now, it looks solid. And we have this perception through the human experience of thinking that there's more matter around us, but the reality is there's more energy and there's more vibration. And that in the quantum level, everything around us, protons, neutrons, and electrons, rotating around each other and moving. Even though things appear solid, they are very much moving and vibrating. And every object has a resonant frequency. That resonant frequency is its resting frequency. And humans have a resonant frequency as well. Our brains have a resonant frequency. The human body has a resonant frequency. Our environments has a resonant frequency. And depending on which report and depending on who you're looking at, what data set you're looking at, that resonant frequency for the human body ranges anywhere from 5 hertz up to 16 hertz. Call it an average of around 10 hertz.
Okay.
An alpha brainwave state is about 10 hertz. The different brainwave states, I'm a very visual person, so the different brainwave states, we hang out in beta. That's eyes open, processing the world around us. You and I are in a beta brainwave state right now. That just means that predominantly our synapses are firing between 12 to 14 hertz, all the way up to about 40 hertz, and it fluctuates. Below that is an alpha brainwave state. This is where creativity lives and really begins. This is where we are kind of during like a daydreamy state. It's like your eyes need to be closed to achieve an alpha brainwave state. And this is kind of where we are during like the beginnings of meditation. Below that is a theta brainwave state. It's measured between 4 hertz and 8 hertz. And this is where we are during rapid eye movement, during deep REM sleep. And this is where we are during like real rejuvenation happens in a theta brainwave state. This is where we are during that target, really ultimate target meditative state. And then below that is the delta brainwave state. That's where cellular rejuvenation happens. In this world, typically our senses are turned off, our motor skills are turned off. If you ever tried to move like a buddy and it's like moving dead weight, they're typically experiencing that delta brainwave state. And then above beta is gamma. And this is associated with higher states of consciousness. It's on average 40 hertz and above. So we can start to track what the frequency is of the brain, of the body, and of our environments. And when we find balance between all of that, in my research, it's been that target 10 hertz brainwave state. that target 10 hertz environment. Major bodies of water have a 10 hertz frequency. The forest has a 10 hertz frequency. Rivers and streams and running water gives off a 10 hertz frequency. So when we can get ourselves into that 10 hertz frequency, if your eyes are open and you're focused in beta, to get back to how I relax, I target that alpha brainwave state. And the more time I can spend in that alpha brainwave state, the more in harmony I am with my environment, with the Schumann resonance, which oscillates around 7.83 hertz, and it averages about 10 hertz. My body, which is also about 10 hertz, and my environment when I'm outside, 10 hertz. That to me it's everything. If we can get our mind, body, and spirit in alignment with our natural environment, our brain, our body is optimized to perform in the best way possible. Longer answer to a shorter question, but
no, that's good. I appreciate how you explained the frequency, because of the way how you went from beta to alpha. I was like, but which one's the daydream? And you totally hit that.
Yeah, that alpha brainwave state's a daydream state. In an alpha brainwave state, we have no concept of time. Time is a perception of this reality, and it predominantly lives in a beta brainwave when we're here, which is why you could doze off and then come back and not know how long you've been. Like how long was I sleeping, right? Especially if like you fell asleep when it was light out and now it's dark out, and you're like, oh my God, I missed half a day. and you're like, no, it was just 40 minutes. You're good. You just had a nice little dose.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because there's a few times, like, it's funny how you talked about the frequency. I've been listening to a lot of like lo-fi. I have a internet browser called Brave. I download my YouTube videos and just play offline.
Yep.
And I just noticed, like, when I listen to that, I'm like, oh, it's just been like 30 minutes. And I look and I'm like, oh shit, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah, I love the Brave browser. I use it too on all my devices. And yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of sound and frequency. And frankly, the beauty of what we do it in harmony, especially through our record label, is that sound and vibration takes you there. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to. And sometimes you're completely caught off guard with it, right? Where you're just like, oh man, it's been 3 hours and I've been either heavily focused on a particular project, like artists. When an artist drops into flow state, they don't know how long they've been working on a project, which is why if you have any friends that are artists, they might call you at 3 o'clock in the morning and be like, hey, I just got done with the session and I'm energized and I'm up, and are you around? Because when they're in that flow state, you have that alpha and theta brainwave that's going, and you're just not thinking about it. Really wild. Time. And not thinking about time.
Right. I joke with my girl about, my time is just a man-made construct. It's actually not real.
It's not.
And she says, she's like, but we were just talking about this for 20 minutes. And I'm like, see?
So look, at some point, and they got really good at this a long time ago, it was obviously measuring the amount of I'm going to use the word time to describe it, but they basically discovered how long it takes for one rotation of the earth, for the sun to set and then to come back into the same position on the sky. And they made that a 24-hour period. And then they figured out that the sun and the stars are in the same position that they were. Like, I can't even imagine the amount of observation that it would take to have figured out this construct, whatever, 1,000 years ago. I don't know, whenever they came up with all this stuff. But it's really interesting. But it is just that. It's a human construct. Dogs don't know what time it is. They just know when the sun goes up and the sun goes down and what they need to do based on their biological clock over the course of the day. It is very much, and then get into like time zones and like daylight savings time. Like, this is really, it's a rabbit hole, no doubt. But it is a human construct, and it is a challenge for us to get acclimated to and to manage to. But it's ultimately so that we could agree upon time and place, and be in the same place at the same time. Like, this podcast recording is going to start at 11 o'clock Pacific, and we're both here at the same time in the same place. Super convenient for that purpose.
Right. And the biggest one, like I was telling my girl, I said, we as a species, in the last 300 years, we've kind of expedited the whole industrial becoming more of a civilization, which there's a whole argument that actually is not good for us. But as hunter-gatherers, I said, there's a reason why singers, song and music like you is so important, because we would have maybe a tribe of 30 people tops kind of thing. And there would be like the ladies and dudes playing their didgeridoos and whatever, and we'd all just drift off. And like, then there's also they might have accidentally ate too many magic mushrooms, but that's a different story. But and then I said, then there's the storytellers. That's where when you listen to a story, like just from what you've said, like you probably drop into alpha or theta, and you're just kind of like, wow, it's just like time just flew by, kind of thing.
Yeah. Look, those are restorative times. And you're right. Us living in tribes, well, we were heavily dependent on, I mean, obviously you got fire and that changed things dramatically, but that at least gave us the ability to go into dark caves and explore dark caves and live in these dark caves where we could start to evolve and change. But ultimately, this is the oldest vibration or vibroacoustic device on the planet, and I am massaging my larynx. Right?
Okay.
It is this voice box, and our ability to create vibration is through our voice, singing, chanting, oming, dancing, getting lymphatic drainage going, right? It's like rebounding today, right? We have all of these exercises that were really a big part of our everyday life. Now we walk around wearing, I mean, shoot, even when I'm in my house, I wear slippers with a rubber sole. Even though it's a cement foundation, I'm not walking on the earth like my ancestors did. And
Right.
the biggest pores in the body are on the bottoms of your feet. We used to absorb minerals and vitamins and elements through the bottoms of our feet, and we're no longer doing that. So all of these shifts and upgrades, and I would agree many of them are part of the evolutionary upgrades of our lives, conveniences for sure. They all come with their own challenges, their own trials and tribulations. We pick up one benefit like a car and the combustible engine and electric cars, and we were started to talk about that. I'm not trying to bring us down that rabbit hole
It's
either,
all good.
but we have all of these modern conveniences. And I think companies like In Harmony Interactive and many others that are out there, specifically in the biohacking world, are all about taking these ancient concepts and merging them with modern technology. And I have a saying. I've been telling people technology got us into this. Technology can get us out. And that's not to say that technology can and is the only thing that can get us out. But when you're walking around with the Apple Watch and you've got the AirPods and I'm sitting in Wi-Fi and I've got a cell phone and I've got an iPad and, I've got all of these modern conveniences that are sitting around me, I need to be cognizant of the impact that technology is having on my biofield. And as long as I'm being cognizant of that and giving myself a break using things like crystals and shungite and organite and all these different things that I have around me to help mitigate that impact, and taking time to get out into nature and taking time on my technology to get into that alpha, theta, delta, and brainwave state and teach my brain how to move in and out of these different brainwave states. And I take the time to get out in nature, and I take the time to get into large bodies of water, and I take the time to get away from and drop in with friends and family and community, then we can live in this balanced world of having these modern conveniences and being consciously aware of them. Here's the challenge, and I started to touch on this a little while ago, and that is too many Americans, because that's really all that I can speak to that I see on a regular basis. Too many of us Americans are walking around in a triggered sympathetic nervous system response. The sympathetic nervous system response is associated with stress and anxiety. The other side of that is a parasympathetic nervous system response, which is associated with cool, calm, and collected. I think of the fonts. So if we're walking around in a triggered, we're walking around in a triggered nervous system response, that's fine if we're 300 years ago and we're in a cave sleeping and all of a sudden we hear a branch break from outside the cave door and immediately that spidey sense goes off. That's part of our reptilian brain that is designed to save us. It is designed to pump cortisol and adrenaline into the bloodstream. It is designed to make you hyper aware and present in the moment. That adrenaline drives power and strength to the major muscle groups so that you can fight or you can run. And that's great if you're even here in Las Vegas walking on the strip and some seedy character is 20 feet behind you and closing, and that spidey sense goes off and you start to be hyper aware of what's going on around you. It's not okay when you're sitting in your living room watching the latest drama on television and the music is starting to stimulate your nervous system and you're drifting into that sympathetic nervous system response. It's not okay when you're standing at the grocery line and the person in front of you is using their 15th coupon and they're going through everything and it's just taking forever. And all you want to do is buy this kombucha and be on your way. And now you're late because this person, right? Like, these are the type of day-to-day scenarios that trigger us. Or I'll give you an even better one. You want to talk about morning routines? Everybody will tell you to, stay off the phone and first thing in the morning. And the reason is because a lot of times people will flip open that news app and immediately get triggered based on what's happening around the world that really they have very little control over.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they drift into that sympathetic nervous system response and you're stuck. There's 4 things that happen in that sympathetic nervous system response that people need to be aware of. And then I'm going to give you a solution for that also. That's going to be, okay. The first thing is that cortisol and adrenaline, right? Which obviously what happens in the body after that is the body turns off rational thinking. So in a sympathetic nervous system response, you think you're making good decisions and you are making decisions, but they're not rational. The next thing it does is it turns off your digestion. So regardless of how clean, organic, how great your supplements are, how amazing your diet is, if you're in a sympathetic nervous system response, you're not fully digesting your food. And the last is it turns off your immune system. So think of what happened over the last 3 years. How many people are in fear? How many people are stressed and anxious for a variety of different reasons? And yet their immune system is turned off and they're not fighting infection and bacteria and tending to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
This is devastating to our population.
It is. It really is.
Devastating. So what our technology does and why it's so important to experience In Harmony tech, either through our app or through our hardware, is that in a matter of about 15 minutes, we trigger the chemical cascades associated with parasympathetic. So we actually take you from sympathetic to parasympathetic, from stressed and anxious to calm and relaxed. It sends triggers directly to the muscles, messages directly to your major muscle groups telling your muscles to relax. So as your muscles are tense and built around this excess adrenaline and cortisol, it actually sends triggers and messages to your muscles to tell them to relax. It feels amazing. It's very calming and soothing and just takes you from that tense, I'm on point, ready to go at it, into a very chill and relaxed, like the Fonz, right? Like, what can you throw at the Fonz? The Fonz is just cool. So we want to be in the latter. And we all know that when you're online at the grocery store and that person in front of you is cutting out their 16th coupon and you're cool, calm, and collected, you're cool, calm, and collected. You might take out your phone and flip through Instagram. You might turn to the person behind you and start up a conversation. You might flip through the magazines that you find there, right? Like, when you're cool, calm, and collected, there's nothing that can really bother you. But when you're stressed and anxious, there's anything that can trigger you. And too many of us are walking around in that triggered nervous system response. And In Harmony is really on a quest to help people feel more relaxed. And that's why I really talk about being that relaxation expert, because anybody can be taken to that world using sound and vibration. And we're creating tools and on a mission to share those tools with the world.
Oh, that's awesome. One thing I want to touch on, though, you mentioned it earlier on, in that is the music triggering you from the soap opera.
Mm.
Have you watched the newest Dune movie?
I haven't, but I need to. It's on my list. Yeah.
So it's really good, but the music, how they structure it, like how they do the war drums and the ladies singing. Literally, I'm sitting there because I have my watch too. I'm just like, my heart's going, boom, boom. And I'm sitting here going like, what the? And I look and I'm like, I'm sitting and it's 150.
Which is unreal. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the suspension of disbelief is a thing, right? When you're in these movies, and I say this over and over again, Hollywood, say what you want about them, they are really good at bringing you into the experience of those characters when it's on, right? When it's on, it's on. When it's off, it's off. And we certainly have been there where that suspension of disbelief isn't there. However, there really aren't many accidents in Hollywood, as far as the music that you're hearing, what you're seeing, the perception that you have, the thought process that's built behind it. Like, this is really major programming, right? I mean, it really is. When you look at television, look, my wife loves watching Grey's Anatomy. She's seen every season over and over again, and yet she watches the reruns. And I walk in and I can't even, okay? I can't even be in the room when this show is on. First of all, like every good American, I am trained when television is on. I literally could be walking through the room with laundry, on a mission to get to my laundry room, and the television's on it, and I will just stop there holding all my laundry, just staring at the television, like hooked into whatever it is. It could be a commercial, it could be whatever. But the sounds and the frequencies, the tones, the visuals, especially when you think of our news programs and the modern media, dun, 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 dun. Like, it's all designed to stimulate your nervous system, to trigger your nervous system, because in a sympathetic nervous system response, we are hyper aware, we are hyper focused, we are hyper present. So of course the music is going to be designed to stimulate your nervous system and bring you from parasympathetic, chilling, relaxed on the couch, to sympathetic, hyper aware and focused on this fear mongering that's coming your way. So that goes for the soap operas, it goes for the dramas, it goes for the housewives shows, whatever, right? It also goes for the comedies, the dramas, and everything else. But it all pulls on the strings of our nervous system and stimulates us down to our core. And as stimulated as we become watching these shows and being engrossed in these movies and these theatrics, sometimes it's live as well, we need something that's going to be able to take us back. And meditation is great. For those of us that can't meditate, a meditation cushion like the In Harmony or our music meditations is going to help to guide you back there and bring you back to that balanced center. Some of us have not felt that balanced center in years. And one session can literally take you there. You can go onto our website. We're going to create a landing page, Josh, for your people, one that you can put in the show notes. And we'll figure out what that URL is going to look like. But look in the show notes. We're going to gift your listeners 3 months free of our app. If you go to the App Store and just download it, you get 14 days free. But if you go through the links in the show notes, you can sign up and actually get registered for 3 months free. We're also going to offer them 5% off all of our technology. So if anybody's interested in picking up our technology, we'll include those links and you can take that home. If anybody wants access to me, I'm one of the easiest people to find on the planet. Our phone number is at the bottom of our website. It rings this phone right here. I love talking to people. I love connecting. I love answering questions and figuring out how our technology can be used in your home or in your office or in your place of work. And these are the types of things that I really like to explore, because I agree with you. More and more humans need access to this technology because more and more humans are relaxed. My daughter's been watching WALL-E. Have you seen the Disney movie WALL-E?
Shit's creepy, but it's pretty accurate where we're going.
Okay. These robots that are starting to do everything, these humans that are floating around on these little pods that are just drinking all their food,
Sugar.
like cupcakes in a bottle. Like what? It's just tough, man. And we need to mitigate this, because as much as I love the government and as much as benefit as I know they bring our way, and I do, right? Like, I like the roads that I drive on. I believe there needs to be that happy balance. I don't believe these 3-letter organizations have our best interest at hand. They literally just released the new food pyramid and listed Lucky Charms and Wheaties, mini wheats, frosted mini wheats.
Wait. What?
Yeah. So you can totally Google this. You can totally put this out. They the Food and Drug Administration just rolled out a new food pyramid, and they have green, yellow, red, things you should do more often, less often, and less often. And Lucky Charms is on there. Frosted mini wheats is something that you should do on a regular basis. I could see you reading this right now. It's absolutely remarkable. And I just don't believe that they get it.
They don't. Like, one of the most helpful is like, do the reverse of this.
It's literally that mind-boggling when you start to think of what's health and wellness related and what will help you drift towards your center and more back to balance. and they're literally telling you to do the opposite. And this is like verifiable, like searchable on the .gov website. This is
I
the
literally
information
just
that they're
typed in Google new food pyramid 2023.
You see it.
First, it's right there, and it's like, wow.
And it's on a .gov website. Like, this is
It is.
we're proud of this. This is something that, hey, the scientists have gotten together, and this is the advice that we're giving you right now. And it's like, are frosted mini wheats really in the top 5 things that I should be eating on a regular basis? No.
Apparently the government says so.
Totally. So, we really do need to take that responsibility into our own hands. We really do need to help one another before we do drift towards the idiocracy, to just quote Hollywood in these movies. And Wall-E, my daughter is just hooked on Wall-E lately. And I have a 3-year-old.
Okay.
We let her watch these movies to relax at night while she's drinking her green drink and her homemade oat milk. But she loves it. And I watch it as this dystopian potential future. And I'm like, if we're not careful, and it's one of the reasons why I'm such I'm trying to get my voice to be louder and louder and louder, and why I want to do more and more of these shows and talk more and more about what's going on, is because I truly believe that we are being led in the wrong direction in a major way. And we need to come back to center to really get back to our roots. And that's why I say technology got us into this. Technology can get us out, and we can still have the finer feature comforts of this modern world that we have co-created, and have the balance to keep ourselves healthy and on track for the best versions of ourselves in that optimal human performance. And in harmony is a big part of that.
You're definitely going to be changing a lot of lives. This is amazing stuff.
Thank you. And I appreciate that. And I'm excited for that. We've got a 6-year track record of doing just that. We've got a history of thousands of customers that absolutely love what we're doing. And we're not slowing down. We want more specials, more podcasts, more evangelizing, more talking about bringing this conversation into the center and helping people to feel their best. At my parent company, Gold Zulu Incorporated, we've got a saying: we want to catalyze positive change in people, because I truly believe everybody wants to feel better today than they did yesterday, and better tomorrow than we did today. And I think if you go outside and you ask 100 people, hey, you want to feel better today than you did yesterday? I think everybody's going to tell you yes. And not all of them are doing the things they know they need to do in order to be on that path. And some of them don't even know where to start. And it's these little things that you can do, like getting a good night's sleep, whether it's during the day or at night, just giving yourself the 6.5, 8 hours of sleep and a certain number of sleep cycles, getting access to sunlight in the morning, which I do agree with, but that could be when you wake up, or it could be with things like a Juve light, or with photobiomodulation devices, or lights that replicate sunlight. I mean, there's lots of different things that you can do in this day and age to trick your circadian rhythm into what works for your schedule. Cuddling and spending time with other human beings, getting good exercise, right? Jumping up and down and moving around and not being such a sedentary lifestyle. So there's a series of different things that you can do in order to feel your best. And we just need to gravitate. It's one of the things I love about social media, because a lot of people find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And if you start to look for and search for these amazing human beings that are spreading the message, you can absolutely learn from them and change the narrative and change the script in your world so that you can feel better tomorrow than you did today. Even if you didn't feel better today than you did yesterday, you can start to change that. And these small changes and shifts can completely change the trajectory of your life year over year versus day over day.
Oh, 100%. It's a lot of it is mindset, but again, like we were talking about, if you become too much of a sheep, though, then you do slowly get poisoned by your own government. That's just, I'm still getting over that Wheaties part. Sorry.
Lucky Charms is on there too. They're actually saying that Lucky Charms is better than ground beef. Ground beef is all the way at the bottom. And don't get me wrong, we can have a conversation around beef and veganism and vegetarian and that sort of thing and the quality of where it's coming from. We can look, just endless rabbit holes, Josh. Endless. Yes. The reality is you want you want your food to consume what that animal is supposed to consume, which for a cow is grass. not corn and soy, not genetically modified corn and soy, right? So I don't believe in factory farming. I do believe in pasture raised, pasture finished. I do believe in the homestead. I do believe in growing your own food. I do believe in doing all these things that look, I live in Las Vegas. I can grow food year round. I am not currently growing food year round because I've chosen to invest my time elsewhere. That means other people are growing my food, and I at least need to know where that food comes from. I need to know what that food was fed, whether it's a plant that was fed pesticides, herbicides, and insecticides, or whether that was a cow that was fed grass or corn. I need to take responsibility to understand where that food came from and understand what I'm putting in my body, because you are only as healthy as what you consume.
What you eats.
That's right.
Yeah, the crazy one, because I currently work at a grocery store, and the amount of like waste I see, and I'm like, oh, like, is this going to landfill? They're like, oh no, this is all going to the farmers. And I sit there and I look and I'm like, wait. Hypothetically, how much are they paying the corporation for this giant, like, let's call it 200-pound thing of veggies? They're like, maybe like $50. And I'm like, but there's a plastic tin of like yogurt and ice cream in the veggies. They're like, yeah, they'll feed that to the hogs too. And I'm like, no, that's really bad.
It's terrible. Okay, look, first of all, hog will eat everything. So will chickens, by the way. So on the homestead, and I've got a bookshelf right here with a number of different books, so that one day when I'm done evangelizing and doing what I'm doing, I am going to buy that 50-acre property. I am going to start to grow my own food. I am going to invite my friends and family to come stay with me. All of these things are definitely going to happen. And on the old homestead, pigs and chickens would be your compost. I mean, they basically just eat everything. They chew through bones. Now, I wouldn't be feeding them plastic. Right?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And then there's a meat department with the grocery store I work at. All that meat is just fed. They're like, they try to label it as the correct animal. And I'm looking, I'm like, that's fish and pork. Pork is in beef. Beef is in chicken. Kind of thing. And they're all just taking it and dumping it into the hopper.
Look, it's this conscious awareness of knowing it. Look, you live in LA. I used to live in San Diego. I've driven up to San Francisco. There's a point in time where you pass by a number of factory cattle farms and roll down your window. Smell what that smells like. All of the methane. Yeah, there's a big piece of that, right? All of the composting manure, and they're just sitting in their own feces, and there's bacteria, and they have to give them antibiotics, and right, and they're just not eating the way that they're supposed to eat. They're not exercising the way they're supposed to exercise. Like, you just need to know where your food comes from. You need to know what your food ate, and you need to be aware of that. And you need to make your own decisions as to what's ideal for you, and what diet is going to work for you. And it's different for all of us. So,
yeah, 100%. Just making sure. How long do I got you for?
As long as we've got engaged conversation, I am here to share and speak.
Then let's go. I would say let's go then.
Cool. I got another half hour.
That's what I was waiting for. But yeah, this is really eye-opening. Like, I've had other guys come on and like try to sell their thing, and it's cool, and I learned a lot, but a lot of them were very topical. Like, you got into the meat and gravy of it all, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. Look, the reality is it's like I said, a while back. At this point, the reason I have this business is because I use the tech every day. My daughter, I have a 3-year-old daughter. She's on the tech almost every single day. I don't want to say every day, but like, I can't even tell you, multiple times a week, she'll hop up on the sound lounge and she'll be like, Baba, Baba. We speak Turkish in my household. Baba, Baba. And hook me up. Let's go. And she'll point at the tablet that drives the sound lounge. Or she'll get on the meditation cushion and she'll grab the phone that we use to drive it. It's an old Pixel phone, and she'll grab it and she'll sit down and she'll ask me to put the headphones on because she's not strong enough to stretch them around her head yet. And she'll be like, let's go. And she'll listen to our demo track, which is a relatively upbeat track, literally over and over again. And she'll hit play, go onto my Instagram, and you'll find videos and reels of my daughter on the tech. And you'll start to see it in different outfits, not because we're doing outfit changes, but these are different days where she's looking at the tech and getting on it and wanting to use it. And it's beautiful. So here I am, a
Awesome.
dad. Okay. I'm 44 years old this May. I have a 3-year-old daughter. And I don't really think my daughter has too much stress, right? We live in a comfortable household. I live here in Vegas. I basically have access to everything that I need. I live in a very safe place, mentally, emotionally, physically, right? Don't get me wrong. I got stress. I got anxiety. We all do. We all live in that triggered world. I'm married. I'm with my wife 15 years. Sometimes we trigger each other, right? Like there's things that are happening all around us. My daughter is not immune to a 2-year-old's temper tantrum. That is a triggered nervous system in its purest form, right? But here's my daughter, and you'll see this reel. I just posted it a week or two ago on my Instagram. And my daughter, she's on the app. She's listening to music. She screams out, "I love you," which I thought was awesome. And I say, "Of course, I love you too." And then she looks down at the app and she sighs. You can't really hear the sigh, but then she looks off and she goes, "Oh, here is a 3-year-old girl without a stress. She doesn't go to school. She's not going to class. She doesn't have homework. She goes to grandma and grandpa's house during the day, or she's hanging out here at the house all day. She's got a great amount of toys. She has all the food that she can consume. Like, and here's a 3-year-old human being letting out a sigh of relief as if there's pressure built up and that needs to be released." And it occurred to me at that point that we all have this pressure valve. We all have this self-talk that is telling us we're not enough, we're not doing enough, we're not capable of enough, telling us, running over and over and over again. And we need to combat that. And meditation and mindfulness and chanting and mantras and understanding the 2 most powerful words in the human language are "I am," because anything that comes after it, you are. Having these positive affirmations, telling yourself that you are powerful, that you are strong, that I got this. It's one of the most amazing sentences that I've taught my daughter is when she has something and she's got it covered. I want you to look back at me. I want you to say, "Dad, I got this." And she started doing it. It's the coolest thing in the world. She'll be like carrying something and she'll be like, "I got this, Dad." And I'm like, that's so cute and so amazing. You do, right? That confidence that we need to impart on ourselves, the compassion and empathy that we need to have on ourselves, and the slack that we need to cut ourselves, that we are doing enough. Now, look, some of us aren't doing enough, and we need to do more. And I'm not here to give you all carte blanche, right? And a lot of us are doing more than enough and not giving ourselves the credit that we're doing enough. So it changed a lot when I saw my daughter, who seemingly has it all going for her right now and really nothing to be stressed out about, let off that sigh. And I was like, "Oh man, that's powerful stuff." It just hit me right here. And it made me realize just how important and how powerful and how impactful this technology really is, and something that just energized and inspired me to go do more, actually, and to get this message out a little further and a little broader and a little wider.
That's awesome. Absolute. This has just been an awesome podcast. I'm like actually at a loss of words. I'm starting to stammer. It's so good.
Appreciate you.
Well, you already hit the point where everyone can contact you. I have 2 other questions I usually ask before sending off.
Yeah.
So other than work during these COVID times, what did you do to keep yourself busy?
So for me, it's getting out into nature. And look, these COVID times. My daughter's birthday is April 3rd, 2020. She was literally born within 2 weeks of flatten the curve, just to go back to where we all were now 3 years ago at this point. If there was anything that the pandemic showed us, it's how to spend time with our nuclear family and how to spend time with those that we love, and how important that was. So we actually took a lot of time to ourselves, which obviously we had a newborn. Like that's what you do when you have a newborn. You're basically on this endless sleep, food, change diaper cycle. And we kind of drifted into that, but we spent a lot of time. I'm fortunate that I have a motorhome, and we get to go off into nature as often as possible. I'm fortunate that I live in the high desert where it's nice and temperate most of the year. It gets a little hot, it gets a little cold, but most of the year I can drive off into the desert and be perfectly comfortable. So we spend quite a lot of time in nature and with my wife and obviously watching my daughter grow. It's also nice to be coming out of that. I was at events last night, and over the last year or so, we've kind of been opening up a little bit more and doing a little bit more, and that's really nice too. But as outgoing as I am, as extroverted as I am, we really like to spend time as a close-knit family, cuddling on the couch, watching movies, or learning and educating ourselves, or out in the motorhome, hanging out in nature, sitting by a fire, and getting as far away from other people as we possibly can.
Yeah. My thing, especially lately, as I've talked to awesome people like you, I realize a lot of very successful businessmen and women, they've learned to be extroverted, but they're more intrinsically introverted kind of thing. They've learned to be extroverted so they can drum up the business, get the clients, but it's like ultimately it's like, I need to sit in my room and just relax now.
So I'll tell you, there's a book called The Power of Full Engagement. Phenomenal book. I highly recommend it. In that book, they basically talk about the physical, emotional, and mental.
Sorry, I'm writing it down. Keep going.
Yeah. So the physical, mental, and emotional rigmarole that we put ourselves through of a go, go, go. And they talk about the power of full engagement. In order to engage fully in the things that we're doing, we need to have the right downtime for relaxation. And I'm actually, my astrology, I'm a triple Gemini. For those that are familiar, I'm a Gemini sun, Gemini moon, Gemini rising. I'm a very outgoing person. I very much like to be in public and around big crowds and around big crowds. And oftentimes when I'm feeling stagnant and I've been here at my house too much, I'll literally go to the strip and I'll walk the strip where there's people all over the place, and I'll just walk through it. And it's very cleansing for me to do that. But I'm not one of those that have trained myself to be out there. Like I'm typically very outgoing. And to that end, I know how important it is for me to have that downtime. And I've never prioritized that downtime until the last few years. I'm also a manifesting generator. If you look at human design, which basically means that I go until it's time for me to rest. So just understanding these constructs and understanding what drives me as a human being. And then of course, the development that I've had of looking at myself and optimizing my performance, and then integrating that with my technology and just respecting the uptime and the downtime is really important. I've been go for the last 2.5 months. We're recording this in mid to late January. I just came off a record-breaking November. We prepared for that in October, and then we had a really good December. And now we're in the new year. I feel like I've been go nonstop, and I actually need to work more downtime into my calendar and my schedule. So that's something that's really important to me right now too.
Yeah, definitely like 4-hour work week. You run hard for like a month and then you take like the last 4 days off just to recover.
4-hour work week. I love you, Tim. There's no way. We're like 400-hour work week right now.
Right?
That's not quite the case, but it's definitely 40 plus hours that we're putting towards building what we're building. And look, I'm exceptionally passionate about it. And this work is actually something that's really quite easy for me, and something that I thoroughly enjoy. So yeah, it's a fun time in the life cycle of In Harmony and where we're going. Very exciting.
It is. It sounds extremely exciting. So the other question I have was, someone that's inspired by you, what are some tips, tricks, or advice for them to go down a similar path that you're on?
Yeah. So the best thing that I could recommend is actually in the link that we're going to put down below is going to be a link to our YouTube channel. You can search In Harmony Interactive and you can find us. And in our recent videos, you'll find top 10 strategies that I use to work on and manage my own mental wellness. And I go through in 6 minutes or so, actually go through a series of 10 different things. And it's not an exhaustive list. This is just the first 10 things that I think about every day. Good sleep, drinking good water, eating whole food, plant-based, mostly plant-based. But again, I do believe in eating animal meat and that sort of thing, as long as it's fed the right things and grass-fed, grass-finished, that sort of thing. Meditation, exercise, cold therapy, hot therapy, some cuddle time, right? Good clean air and filtration. Like for me, it's understanding these three main environments: what you put in your mouth, what you put on your skin, and what you allow to be kept in the air around you, and detoxifying that as much as you possibly can. It's impossible, and we don't want to live in a totally sterile life. Toxicity around us is a good thing. It's why our liver and kidneys exist. It's why we have these filtration systems. It's not a bad thing. Exposure to viruses and bacteria is actually a very healthy thing, as long as they're man-made and not man-made, rather, and right from the earth and from the world. Sorry, little slip there. As long as they're not man-made.
It's okay.
Huh?
Oh, no, it's all good.
We'll clean that up in editing. But look, these are the things that I think are really important in these pillars to life. It's really a simple process, and it's really about getting back to nature and getting more acclimated into the life cycles of this planet Earth and of our human daily life cycle as well, and getting back to that root and respecting it. So there are lots of little things that we could be doing. It's really a series of better decisions that we're making every day that changes the trajectory of where we've been to where we're going. And it's not about beating yourself up of what you've done to yourself over the last days, weeks, and months or years. It's instead about, okay, what steps can I take right now to slowly start to shift the trajectory of my life by one better decision after one better decision stacked on top of another better decision. And before you know it, you look back and you're in a completely different place, on a completely different trajectory, going to a completely different destination. So that's
100%.
important to me. Yeah.
That was awesome. Thank you again. Absolute honor and pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate you. My pleasure to be here. And I'm down to do it again soon. If you have guests back again, let's dive down some of those rabbit holes.
Yes, let's do it. Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.